What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Pack a Day podcast. I'm your host, Andy Herman. You can follow me on Twitter at Andy Herman NFL. Let's talk some day 2 of training camp. Tons to go over, tons to discuss. I'm super geeked up about it, so let's jump in right away. Before we get to the nuts and bolts and everything that happened and the main takeaways and everything like that, I just want to spend a quick second because I think it's really important that everybody understands exactly what sort of goes on as everyone that's on the media sideline is sort of reporting and just the whole process. Because in order for you to understand like what we see and what you're getting from the media, I think it's important to understand the process that we are sort of going through as we're getting all this information to you, right? So the first thing is that we are limited into exactly not what we can tweet about or what we can talk about, but in what we can videotape. So I know all the time, I talked about all the, amazing plays that Romeo Doubs is making, and everyone on Twitter is like, where's the video? Where's the video? Well, we get a little card at the beginning of the day that says, all right, here are the periods that you can shoot video of. And here's the same thing that you can take pictures of, and so on and so forth. And the same goes for the fans that are on the sidelines with us, and the fans on the other side can take, I don't even know if they can take pictures, but they can't take video of anything at all. And there's certain times where they're very strict about that as well. What it amounts to is they don't want any team activities to be, basically videotaped or taken pictures of so that opposing teams can see that information or see the formations or how they're lining up or anything like that. So what the media and the fans are actually allowed to do is take pictures usually during periods 4 and period 5, which is all individual drills. So you're not going to see any of these amazing things that we're talking about in team activities. And then you also can't take anything that goes on in the special teams period. So you basically get a couple periods that you can watch the individual drills and kind of take some video. So if you're wondering why the only time you see video is of like individual drills, that is why. And anyone that does tweet or take video of that stuff can lose their credential. And or get kicked out of practice if you are a fan, if you get caught taking video of stuff. So the Packers are very strict, understandably so, with that sort of information. So that's that. The next is, as we get there are a bunch of fans that are on the same side as the media, and we are on ground level. So whereas the fans on the opposite side, just the general admission fans, are all on sort of like the stacked seats or whatever. The media is just on the side where it's just ground level. And there's a bunch of fans, and these I think like are the suite holders and things like that they invite to have like special privilege on the sideline of practice. And so there's a bunch of fans that are there. So we're trying to maneuver around all the fans. There's also a lot of media. So we're trying to maneuver around each other and maneuver around the fans and try to get access to as much as we can. There's also cones in certain areas that you can't stand ahead of the cones. There's also parts that are blocked off that you can't get to. So why you don't see very many defensive line drills is the defensive linemen are working out way on the other end, and we can't get down there to actually take very good video of it. So that's why you don't see very many of those. So that all goes into it. The next thing is that once you actually get into the team activities and I get my Twitter fingers out and start going over everything, the big thing here is that there's all these people that you're sort of fighting over to kind of get a spot so you can see everything. And then sometimes the players or the coaches are also obstructing your view. So you're very limited in what you can see. Also, as I mentioned yesterday, there's 90 players on the roster, about 77 of which are actually practicing right now, and there's stuff going on everywhere. So you have to be very cognizant of what you're trying to capture and what you actually want to see on not only a day-by-day basis, but like a play-by-play basis to figure out what you want to watch. There are also times that you can only capture certain things based on your vantage point. So there are times just based on the area that I have to sort of stand in that, all right, the only thing I'm getting on this play is Samori Toure versus Shamar Jean-Charles. So that's what I'm going to watch, and I'm going to watch it very detailed. And if anything happens there, I'm going to tweet about it. There's other plays I can see the entirety of the play. There's other times I can see just the offensive line versus the defensive line. You sort of pick what you have great access to, and that's what you're watching on that given play. Interestingly enough, a fan who was standing next to Rob Demovsky and I was like saying, like, I don't know how you guys do what you do. Like, how do you figure out what you want to watch on a given play? And Rob said the same thing that I've told to people in the past, is that you have to have something in mind on a given play of what you want to watch. So today, for instance, I try to keep a little bit more of an eye on Devonte Wyatt because I hadn't had the chance to watch him so much. But if you're always wondering of like, well, I haven't heard much about Samori Toure, or I haven't heard much about Dean Lowry, or like whoever that may be, a lot of times just because we don't have great access to seeing some of that stuff. And the hardest thing to see is the trenches. Like, so it's really difficult because all of a sudden we're ground level. There's a bunch of stuff going on in front of us. And it's all of a sudden 5 offensive linemen versus 3 defensive linemen and 2 edge rushers. And this massive humanity just comes together. And it's like, we're on ground level watching it like from the sideline view. Like, good luck, making a ton of observations based off of that, what's happening in the middle of the scrum, right? So if you think back of like your years reading training camp updates, try to think of like how many times you heard about, Kenny Clark or Mike Daniels or David Bakhtiari or Corey Linsley, right? It's just not the stuff that we are usually going to have great access to. You're just not going to see that as much. There are times that we can. And again, I watched a lot of Devonte Wyatt today because that's what I wanted to go in watching, but you almost have to pick what you watch. And then as the play, like as team activities are going on, as I'm going into this with like almost like a quarterback's mind of like, all right, let me break down everything that's happening. What can I see? And I'll be like, all right, I know Jordan Love's at quarterback. We've got Tyler Goodson at running back. I can see Yash Nijman versus Rashaan Gary, right tackle, left outside linebacker. And then I've got Samori Toure versus Shamar Jean-Charles over here. And like, all right, Amari Rodgers is in the slot going in motion. And like, I'm trying to figure out pre-snap as much as I can possibly handle in my mind of like, all right, who's on the field? What can I see? What can I focus on? And I might be like, all right, let's watch Yash versus Gary on this play. Or maybe I'm going to watch the receiver versus corner battle. Maybe I'm just going to watch the play develop. But if you don't have something in mind that you want to watch, like going up into that play, or like, and have an understanding of like who's at quarterback, who's on defense, you're going to be totally lost. So you have to be cognizant of everything, because otherwise you're just going to end up watching the play and then the ball's going to get bad. Like, all this stuff's going to happen and you like realize like, all right, I tried to watch everything and unfortunately I didn't get to watch, I didn't see actually anything because it was just a massive chaos. So you have to go into the play like knowing what you want to watch. So that's the other thing. And then again, there's just so much going on that there's just certain days where you're just not going to see a lot of certain players, or, over a course of a few days, you might be like, I've watched practice for 3 days and I haven't had a chance to like see almost any Preston Smith yet. I don't know that I can say one time where I saw Preston Smith play. I've watched a lot of things and I've captured a lot of things. I just don't even know that I've seen one Preston Smith play. As crazy as that may sound. So there's just some players that are going to catch your eye more often. There's certain rookies and free agents that you want to try to catch on these first couple days, but that's what all goes into this. And this is what all the different media members are watching. And trust me, guys, these guys are doing like a phenomenal job of trying to bring you as much information as possible. Guys are like, have notebooks and they're writing down every player that's like on the field at given times. And it might be like, all right, it's the ones versus the ones. Like, that should be pretty easy. Like, it's not, because you've got like, I don't know, maybe 15 different skill position players that are rotating in with the ones at wide receiver, tight end, and running back. So like, you have to figure out what 5 of those 15 are actually in on the play. On defense, are they on nickel or in base? The defensive linemen are rotating a ton. The edge rushers are rotating a ton. So there's certain things that you can kind of know going into a play based on who's, if it's the ones or the twos, but they're changing things up so often and players are rotating in and out that you have to be super cognizant of what's going on at all times. And then also, like for me, because I'm tweeting out almost like everything, like you watch the play and then you have to like tweet it like super fast and then get your eyes back up to see like, all right, who came in, who went out, what type of formations are they in, and then start making that almost like quarterback like observation again. So that's what goes into all of this. And I just think it's really important as we go through the remainder of these videos to know that like this is all that's going on. So I get all these texts of like, well, what's going on with Samori Toure? I haven't heard much of him. Well, he's one of 77 players that are practicing, and we're trying to get to everyone as much as we can. But there's just a massive humanity all going on at once, and everyone's doing their best to get you as much information as possible. So sorry for I don't think it's like a tirade there. I just think it's really important for you guys to understand exactly what we're seeing and what we're going through on a day-to-day basis to try to get you as much information as possible. Now the fun stuff. I talked for 10 minutes in my quick breakdown yesterday on Romeo Doubs. So if you want the full 411 on Romeo Doubs, go listen to that in its entirety because there is a ton of information there. But I thought one of the things that was really great is that prior to practice, Matt LaFleur was asked about Romeo Doubs' really great first day of practice. And Matt LaFleur basically said, anybody can do something for one day. Once you start doing it over and over, that's when you start, noticing the player, like, telling them they're having a really good day, things like that, right? Like you have to, the old Mike McCarthyism, you have to stack success, right? Well, Romeo Doubs stacked success from day one to day two, had a fantastic catch on a collision with Darnell Savage. That was a very intense collision. He held on to the ball. It was a 50-50 ball. He came up with it, held on through contact with the ground. He had the fade versus Eric Stokes where he went up, Moss Stokes. I'm going to get to that more in just a moment. And then had another touchdown in the red zone. Devondre Campbell was kind of covering him over the middle. Just really nice job securing the catch, exploding upfield, getting in the end zone. It was another fantastic day from Romeo Doubs. Romeo Doubs and Rashaan Gary were my two players of the day. But I want to reference here a fantastic article by Bill Huber. Go to SI.com, go to the Packers page, read this article on Romeo Doubs. I'm just going to read you a quick snippet of it because I think this is really cool. But Bill does a phenomenal job. Make sure to go and check this out. This is Romeo Doubs in the locker room. I don't, unfortunately, usually can't get to the locker room just because I've got so much going on during the day. So I can only attend practice and then I've got other things to get to. But the questions were asked of Romeo Doubs about what happened on that play with Eric Stokes. And I think this just starts to give you the insight into who Romeo Doubs really is as a player. So the question was, what did he see pre-snap on this fade to Eric Stokes where he ended up with the touchdown? Rodgers is at quarterback on this. So he said, quote, "I knew it was a man look because he had heavy eye on me. Just wanted to attack leverage and Aaron threw a great ball and I was able to make a great grab and go on to the next play." All right, so just really quick here, for those of you who aren't super nerdy into this, right? When he says, I knew it was a man look because he had heavy eyes on me. All right, so a lot of times when you are in zone, you are playing a little bit more off, and usually eyes are going to be sort of on everything. You're sort of watching the entirety of the field, and a lot of times you want vision on the quarterback to know what they're doing. You're playing a space, right? You're not playing the man in front of you. You are playing a zone. You are playing a space. So when you have eyes on the quarterback and when you've got eyes on everything, a lot of times for a receiver, that is a tell that they're going to play zone. When the corner is locked in on you and it's just one-on-one and you know it's one-on-one, a lot of times that's going to be a tell that it's man-to-man coverage. So I love the quote here that he had heavy eyes on him. It's not just he was like, maybe, kind of fainting back and forth or anything. He had intense eyes on Romeo Doubs, and that was a tell to Doubs that this was going to be man-to-man coverage. So the next thing that was asked was, with a half step on Stokes but a lack of space in the end zone, did he consider himself open? And this was his response, quote, "Yes, because I had just enough space from the sideline to make sure I can get the ball and get my feet in bounds. Pre-snap, I had a feeling that the ball was coming to me just based on spacing." So based on the spacing, how, the space that he had in the red zone and the end zone in this case, the spacing from Rodgers to him, just everything that he read pre-snap knew, all right, there's a good chance that this ball is coming my way. And as I was watching Rodgers come up pre-snap, you had a one-on-one Doubs, Stokes outside. Everything else is congested. This is red zone, so everything gets tightened up in the red zone, right? So everything else super congested. On the right side, you have a one-on-one Doubs versus Stokes. The right read there is probably, if you trust your receiver, is to go to Doubs, and Rodgers trusted his receiver, and Doubs kind of knew pre-snap, yeah, this is probably the look that comes to me. Rodgers trusted him, and it ended up being a touchdown. So I love the quote there from Doubs as well. And then finally, third, what was he thinking when the ball was thrown? And then this is, as Bill points out, this is where the rookie showed some veteran savvy. So the question was, what was the thinking when the ball was actually thrown? He said, quote, "Stokes' back was turned. I've noticed watching film that the majority of some of the quarterback's throws, receivers get chances based on the DB's point of view. His back was turned. From that point, he doesn't know where the ball is going to go and if it's going to go over him, under him, etc. His back was turned. Aaron gave me a chance and I was able to make something happen." So he knew that when Stokes turned his back, from that point, the advantage goes to Romeo Doubs, and he knew that he had the opportunity to make a play on the ball. That all sounds great. All of this that's happening, his pre-snap read, and then what goes on, the man-to-man, ball snapped, he knows the ball's probably coming his way, Stokes turns his back and then goes and gets the ball. That is happening like that. Like, I can't even stress to you how fast that entire sequence happened. And then even if your brain's able to work that fast, the fact that he's able to go up against a really good cornerback and then go and make the play in a tight contested catch situation, grab the ball, clutch it, tight hands, and then come down both feet in bounds and make the play. I mean, this is some veteran stuff. And the fact that he's watching film on this already, it's really, really good stuff from Romeo Doubs. And I go back and listen to my 10-minute video on Doubs to get the full breakdown. We still don't know what he's going to be, but I can't remember two more impressive first practices for any rookie as far as I can remember. Maybe Clay Matthews. Clay Matthews was very impressive right away, but I don't even know if it was to this extent. So we will see what Dobbs becomes. No pads yet. Long way to go, but he stacked success 2 days in a row, and it's very, very exciting. The other player who has had a scorching hot start to his first 2 days of training camp was Rashaan Gary. And you can make the caveat here that over the first 2 days, he went up against Royce Newman, Zach Tom, and Yash Nijman. So it's not exactly like he's going up against Jenkins and Bakhtiari here snap after snap, right? He's going against a rookie, Yash Nijman, and then, second-year player Royce Newman, who's probably playing, out of position, I guess. He's played tackle, but he's more of a guard. So he should have big days, but he is going through players. He went right through Royce Newman on Wednesday. He had a couple of really great pressures against both Zach Tom as well as Yash Nijman. He is making his impact felt, getting into the backfield. He has been at times a one-man wrecking crew, exactly what you would expect out of Rashaan Gary. Sometimes that stuff can get taken for granted, but he had a phenomenal practice in back-to-back practices and was certainly worthy of a player of the day nod, based on his performance on practice on Thursday. New offensive line. So yesterday we talked about Yash Nijman at left tackle, John Runyon Jr., Josh Myers, and then Jake Hansen and Royce Newman from left to right. On Thursday, Zach Tom, the rookie, gets the start at left tackle, John Runyon Jr. at left guard again, Josh Myers at center again, Royce Newman kicks back inside to right guard, Yash Nijman moves from left tackle to right tackle. So a brand new lineup along the offensive line. Only John Runyon Jr. and Josh Myers stay in their same spot. I thought Tom had some ups and downs. There were a couple plays that I thought he had did a really good job. Gave up the pressure against Gary. Also didn't set the edge on a play against Devonte Wyatt, which we'll talk about more in just a moment. Seal the edge, I should say, from the offensive point of view. But overall, first day or second day of practice, but first day as a starter, I thought he held up okay. And that's a good start for Zach Tom. Really interested to see how that works on Friday and who they put in there. I have a feeling we still see some Cole Van Lanen. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of moving around. Maybe Sean Ryan gets some time with the ones eventually. But very interesting that Zach Tom is the first rookie to get starting reps, not Sean Ryan. Obviously Rasheed Walker's out and probably not going to be in that situation, but Zach Tom is the one that actually gets the nod there. So interesting move there. Devonte Wyatt, let's talk about him because I know a lot of people have been asking, what about Devonte Wyatt? What about Devonte Wyatt? So again, no pads yet, but I thought this was his best day of practice in either rookie minicamp, OTAs, minicamp, or training camp so far. Two really nice plays that I'll point out here. The first one was that play against Zach Tom that I just mentioned. He's lined up on the right side. It's a run to the left. He's at right defensive end, and he gets double teamed. Zach Tom and a tight end. I don't know who the tight end. It may have been DeGuara, but don't quote me on that. But they're trying to set the edge, seal the edge so that the running back can get to the outside. Devonte Wyatt's trying to set the edge. Not only does he set the edge against a double team, gets to the outside, but then he knifes into the backfield and makes a stop on the running back. It was a beautiful play because, again, for a young player, just to get out there and set the edge is one thing. But the fact that he was able to not just set the edge to funnel it back inside, but actually go make the play, was really, really impressed on the play. And then there was another play later. There's a blitz from Chris Barnes, and Chris Barnes gets pretty good pressure. But right behind him, Devonte Wyatt makes the offensive lineman look silly, gets into the backfield, and would have had a pressure as well. So we're starting to see some of these flash plays a little bit more from Devonte Wyatt. Just day two of practice, but couple flash plays there that I was pretty excited about. Dean Lowry had a couple nice plays. He had a beautiful read on a tight end screen, and then the very next play sniffed out a toss and was getting in the backfield on that play. Kabianento, I love when players bounce back, right? Didn't have the greatest practice on Wednesday, bounced back, had a nice practice on Thursday, had a really nice pass breakup, almost had the pick, came over the top of the wide receiver in a legal way, made a play on the football, and again, almost came up with the pick, but it was a really impressive pass breakup. So love to see the bounce back there. From an injury standpoint, Jonathan Garvin was the only player to return from injury to practice. There were no new injuries or no new players that weren't practicing on Thursday that did practice on Wednesday, so that was great news. And again, Garvin returned. That meant that the players who did not practice were Mason Crosby, Christian Watson, Sammy Watkins, Keyshawn Nixon, Kylan Hill, Randy Ramsey, Rasheed Walker, David Bakhtiari, Elton Jenkins, Robert Tonyan, Malik Taylor, and Akil Byers. Another nice play in red zone. Sean Davis had a pass breakup against Alize Mack. Thought that was Sean Davis's best play of practice so far. Defense was pretty pumped after that. It was a red zone stop, and again, it was a pretty decent pass, but Davis broke on it, used his speed, and broke it up at the very last second. So nice play there. Tyler Goodson continues to look good. He had a really nice just swing pass out of the backfield, catches the ball really clean. He's got good burst. He had the great cut the other day, but he not only did he make the clean catch, got upfield, looked like he made the sort of corner and safety miss. It's always tough to tell in those situations because there's no live tackling. So like maybe they would have been able to tackle him and be a bit more aggressive there, but I thought he made a great cut back inside to potentially give himself a chance to get into the end zone, but he's had a couple really nice days of practice. Danny Davis, the Wisconsin Badger, undrafted rookie free agent wide receiver. He's acclimated himself well, probably fighting at best for a practice squad spot, but I thought he's had a really nice couple days. Had a really nice catch over the middle once again. I think he got in the end zone too, if memory serves. So nice day for him. Jordan Love, I thought he had a nice day. Nothing like out of the complete out of ordinary, nothing spectacular, but my favorite play of his is he's bootlegging, so really nice play action, and then bootlegs to his left, so he's kind of going like across his body, right? And the edge, so it's like one of those plays where I think the tight end is blocking the defensive lineman, and then the defensive lineman's in no man's land because it's like, all right, do I go after the quarterback or do I try to cover the tight end in the flat? Well, the defensive line, I want to say maybe it was Garvin, I forget who it was, but like made a good play to like really make it difficult so that Jordan Love had no passing lane, and Jordan Love just like lofted it like this huge lollipop, just like way up, and then it came way down. Maybe I think maybe it was actually Tyler Davis, and Tyler Davis he's wide open, catches the pass and makes his way into the end zone. So great play action fake, and then just this beautiful lob. Like it was like a 2-yard pass. So it's like literally just like and it just goes away. It was beautiful. Well done by Jordan Love. But I thought he had a nice day. And then the last two I want to cover here. Aaron Rodgers has been fantastic through 2 days. And sometimes it's so easy just to take that for granted. And because he's Aaron freaking Rodgers, right? But he has looked so good. And I know that he had said like, hey, the defense is going to give us fits. And I thought the defense held up much better in the red zone. I thought they were flying around a lot more throughout the course of the day. But man, Aaron Rodgers has looked really, really good through 2 days of practice. And not that it's surprising, not that anyone's going to be shocked by that, but sometimes it's just really easy to like talk about everything else that's happening and not go over the fact that Rodgers is great once again. He's just looked phenomenal through 2 days. And then it's really hard to hear highlights about Jair Alexander because nobody is stupid enough to throw at Jair Alexander. He did have the pass breakup the other day when they threw at him one time. Through 2 days, he's been as locked down as you can possibly be. Not only can he not make plays, but it's just like nobody's throwing at him because he's Jair freaking Alexander and nobody's getting open against him. So he has been locked down, shut down, exactly what you would expect. And it's just so great to see him back on the practice field. That is going to do it for me today. I will be back at practice on Friday. I believe I will have another quick hits edition of the podcast, so make sure you're subscribed if you haven't already. And then I'll, of course, have a brand new episode on Saturday morning as well. So again, please make sure you're subscribed. I appreciate all of you. As you can tell, I love this time of year. I'm so excited about everything. I'm going to bring you everything that I possibly can, observe everything that I possibly can, and give it to you guys daily. So appreciate you. I'll be right back here tomorrow. But until next time, and as always, go Pack Go.